Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. So this is part 5 video on Angular 14 CRUD example using Material UI. So now our main aim is to implement the delete operation. Okay, so let's go to our application and first let's implement the API call logic. For that, go to our student service. Okay, here let's create a method for delete. Okay, delete method and it should contains id as a input parameter. Okay, now return this dot http client dot delete. Since we have to invoke the http delete endpoint, right, we have to use the delete method. Okay, now my how to frame url means you can check our json server documentation. Okay, for http delete, just simply pass the slash at the end of the route. Okay, so that means I can use this same url. Okay, so copy this, add it here. Okay, that's it. That much simple. Our API call logic. For this demo, I want to use Angular Material dialog component to display as a confirmation, delete confirmation box. Okay, so for that, let's go to Angular Material website and look for the dialog component section. Okay, and click on it. Okay, here is small sample examples you can see. If I click on it, see, like these examples and more number of examples you can check for here. Okay, like this, I want to display a delete confirmation model in our sample application. Okay, so to add this content, we have to maintain a separate component. So let me create a new component. So we know Angular CLI command for creating the component ng generate component and name of the component. I will name it like delete dialog student. Okay, I don't want any test file, so I'm going to skip it. Sorry, I have given component spelling wrong. Okay, let's create. Okay, now here you can see the component is generated. Now in this component, I am going to integrate my material dialog. Okay, so if I go to the new component, okay, so let's go to the website. First, let me get the sample HTML. Okay, for that, click on view code. Okay, here you can see a tab like dialog animation example dialog. Okay, so what you can do, you can copy this content and add it in our dialog component HTML file. Okay, since we are going to using material dialog component, right, we have to import the main module. Okay, so you can go to API. So copy this. Okay, go to our app module. Let's import it. Okay, and import the mat dialog. Okay, sorry, I added my HTML content in CSS file content. So let's go to HTML file and add it here. Okay, now if you observe this, so delete item. This is my heading. So mat dialog title. Okay, this attribute represent. This is the heading. Okay, and here would you like to delete the item? Okay, so mat dialog content for displaying the main content, and here there is a mat dialog action method that contains buttons. Okay, so if you observe here mat dialog close attribute, so what this will do means it will help to close the uh, on click of the button, this attribute. Okay, by default we can click without any click event also. We can close the model dialog. Okay, now so that's about the HTML, and in TS file also we have to do some code changes. Okay, if you go to TS file and if you scroll down here, you can see mat dialog example. So this is the main. TS file in this sample model TS file. So here we have to register a mat dialog ref. Okay. So let's do that in our component as well. Okay. So go to delete dialog TS file. Okay. Let's inject that file. Okay. And let's import the mat dialog ref that loads from the Angular material. Okay. So let's remove it. And here we have to simply pass our component name itself. Okay. Now what this diagram means, it will give control over the dialog within the dialog component. Okay. So by using this programmatically, I can close or open the dialog within the dialog component. Okay. That for that purpose, it will be useful. Okay. Now, now I am ready with the sample dialog. Now let me add a delete icon button on my all students component. So all student component.html. Let me create a icon. Okay, let me copy this icon. Okay, here I don't want any anchor type because I don't want to navigate to any other page. I just want to open the model. So I will change this font icon to delete so that delete button will come. Okay, and Arial, let's check. Now let me register a click here. Okay, so we know for click, I can use circular basis and we have to pass the method. So first let's create a method in the all component.ts file to open the all student.ts file to open the model. Okay. So let me create like open delete model. Okay. So how we can open means let's go to the material website and here you can see this is the main parent component. And here bottom is the dialog pop-up component. Now let's check the code in the parent component. So here to open a dialog, they are using some dialog. Okay, dialog dot open. So where is the dialog? That dialog coming from the mat dialog. So let's copy this service. Okay, and let's inject the same service into our all component, all student component. Okay, so and we have to import this namespace. So let's import it. Now we have imported it. Now what I can do, this dot, sorry, this dot dialog dot open, dialog dot open. Okay. So let's check in the website, dialog dot open. And here first parameter is the component name. Which component? Dialog component name. Okay. So in our case, that name will be our delete dialog student component. Okay. And second, we have some configurations like width and any animation like that. Okay. For now, let me pass the width. Okay. Now, if I register this method here, I should see dialog must be appear on clicking the delete button. Okay, let's test it. Here I am getting the dialog button, right? Now, if I click on it, see, I am getting the dialog component. Okay, now if I click on no button, it is closing. If I click on OK button, it is automatically closing. Why it is closing automatically without click event means I have already mentioned there is an attribute. So if I go to HTML, mat dialog close, right? So that attribute is helping to close it. Okay. Now the thing is, we have to invoke our delete API call in our dialog.ts file because on clicking the OK button, I have to invoke the API call for delete, right? So let's inject the service here. Okay, in the constructor, student service, student service. Okay. Now in the delete dialog, instead of automatically closing, let me remove the mat dialog close attribute from here for OK button. but I will register a manual click event. Okay. So for that click event, we have to create a method like confirm delete. Okay. In this method, I can invoke the API call. This dot student service dot delete, but delete method should contain some data, right? So this is normal code, but delete method should pass ID, right? Which is record to delete. That means from our parent class, we have to pass the ID value, right? So first let's register this click event with the confirm delete. Okay, now I have to somehow pass the data to the my delete dialog student component. So go to material website. Okay, and here we can see there is no configuration like sending some data to the dialog component, right? So let's check other examples. And if I check it here, this last one, and if I go to TS file, here you can see this is actual parent component and this is actual dialog component. So in the parent component, some data is passing. So that means one of the attribute with the data property we have to pass. Okay. That means if I go to my all student component.ts file, here I can pass a data object. That means for this method, we should have a input parameter like ID. So number. Now let's go to all component.html file, and to this click event, we have to pass the ID, right? So what I can do, element.id, I can pass. So now I am getting the ID value, so I can directly pass it. So this data must be read here. So to read the data in the component, so component what have to do? Component must inject this token, mad dialog data token, and so that the data property can be read. So copy this code. Here dialog data is a normal class. For my demo, I didn't created any class. Here you can see normal class. Payload class type we are defining. Okay. So let's go to here our dialog component and add it here. Here there is no type, so I will simply type any, and let's import the mad dialog data token. Okay, and also import the inject that loads from the Angular. So now I can access the ID value from this property. So data dot ID. Sorry, this dot data dot ID. So that means we are successfully passing our item ID to delete. Now on successful delete, we have to close our pop-up, right? For that, I can use now this dialog reference. I have mentioned mad dialog ref give control over the dialog component, right? So this dot dialog ref dot close. Okay, that will closes the pop-up. But what I will do, I will pass this ID on closing the ID on successful close. Okay. So now I can read this ID back into my parent component. How to read means, so go to all component.html, sorry, not HTML, TS file. And here just assign this dialog open to one variable. Okay. Dialog instance. Okay. Now I can use this dialog instance variable dot after closed dot subscribe. That means after closing the pop-up, this uh, executes, this subscribe gets executes. Okay, here it will receive the result if the pop-up is sending anything. Okay, that means here if we user clicks on the confirm, then API call invokes, then delete item will be deleted on success. We invoking close and we passing the ID, right? This value will be read into this TS file. For suppose if the user clicks a normal close button we have, right? So where is the delete normal close button? Here there is no data sending on closing. At the time the result will be empty. Okay. So for that we have to check the result value in all component.ts file. Okay. So if result exists, then we have to write small logic, that is our table content is in the all students rows, right? So we have to remove the deleted item from the table also. For that, what I can do, this dot all student table resource equal to this dot all student table resource dot filter dot id not equal to id. Okay, that's it. So here we are removing the deleted item from UI also. Okay, this is how delete component must be used. Okay, so let me test it. Refresh the page. Okay, open developer tool and go to network call to check the delete API call. Now open the delete button. Okay, I am deleting the second record. Okay, if I click on OK button, see, record is deleted, and here you can see the API call. Okay, and request method is delete, and it is successful. If I reload page, I don't see the deleted item because that is successfully deleted the server also. Okay, so that's all about the delete operation. So we are totally done with Angular 14 CRUD sample application using Angular Material UI. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this video delivered some useful content to you all. If you like the video, please do support me by subscribing to my channel as well as by liking the video. Soon we are going to meet with new content. Until then, signing off.